Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this inaugural installment of S' Artist Book Reading Series. We are your co-hosts, A.B. Gorm and Erin Kohick. Tonight's reading features performances by Marianne Dages, Keri Miki-Lani Schroeder and Chris Fritton, María Carolina Ceballos, and Sarah Hulsey. The SAS reading series addresses some of the inherent challenges that makers, institutions, collectors, and publishers face when creating opportunities to interact with artist books. As an alternative exhibition space, this series provides a performance platform which creates more accessible public opportunities for the artist book community to gather, experience physical books in new formats, and create new lines for distribution. Our hope for the SAS series is that it will encourage everyone in the field, artists, publishers, distributors, librarians, book arts orgs, and schools, to make reading a regular part of an artist book practice and even host readings of their own or incorporate artist book makers into their already established literary readings. Erin?
Okay, let me get my slides going. All right, is that up?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you to our readers. We're really excited about this. So I'm gonna sort of building off of what AB just said, I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're trying to build with this series. So as you know, the series is being recorded, and our hope is to build a public archive of all of these readings, which will then be available, and we're hopefully will create a great resource. We're also going to be publishing documentation on how the series functions. So when people start their own artist book reading series, either online or IRL, they can look at what we've done and iterate on it and improve on it. And we also want to create a living history of other artist book readings. So what that means is, if we know that we're not the first people to plan an artist book reading, and so if you all know about events that have happened in the past, we would love to know about them, as much information as you can give. And we're going to start building a timeline of this form. And then when you do start planning your own events, let us know, so that we can help promote them and add them to our timeline. And because we really are interested in this becoming kind of established part of the community and practice. So our plan for this series is to run it for 3 years. And we're going to do 2 readings in this first year, kind of as a proof of concept. And then we'll do 4 readings in years 2 and 3. So in total, that's going to be 10 readings and 40 plus readers. And then after that 3 years, we're going to pause and evaluate and either continue with the series, think about perhaps passing it on to a different group of organizers, or retiring it. How to participate there and stay in touch. You can follow us on Instagram. That's the Instagram account for the series. If you prefer to not be at the mercy of the algorithm, you can sign up for our email list. There'll be a link in the chat with a form you can sign up for our email list. And then if you need to email us about anything, you can contact us at this email or through Instagram or whatever. And then finally, the other really important thing that we need your support with is a fundraiser to make this series happen. We got a amazing anonymous donation that is allowing us to pay all of our readers tonight. But to run the series for 3 years, we need to raise some money, and that's mostly going to go to paying the artists who read. And then a little bit for the host, and then a little bit also for their Zoom account and website things. So yeah, and again, like this our $9,000 is our goal, and that's to fund the entire 3 years. Any amount of donation, of course, helps. Also, sharing the fundraiser helps. There is a link in the chat for you to do that. And yeah, just thank you again all for being here. And we are going to jump right into the readings. So our first reader tonight is Marianne Dages. Marianne Dages is a Philadelphia-based artist and writer investigating the crossroads between image, language, and thought. Her work is held in public collections, including the MoMA Library, Yale University Library, and the School of the Art Institute, Chicago. She was awarded the 2-year core fellowship at Penland School of Crafts, where she studied bookbinding and letterpress printing. In 2015, she had a solo exhibition at Print Gallery Tokyo. She's been an artist in residence at Hirhusud in Iceland, Weissinghoff Printmaking Residency in Germany, and the Book Art Center at Wells College. Marianne also teaches letterpress and bookbinding and publishes artist books under the names Huldra Press and Sistrum. She prints on a Vandercook No. 4 named Egon and a risograph RZ220.
Thank you. All right, here we go. Right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. I'm very excited. I'm a little nervous. I can only read a portion of this book's text. So before I dive in, here's just a little bit of context. Tales of Fort Denial follows the journey of a glitching adventurer who enters an unknown land/system and is drawn to search for Fort Denial while being pursued by a mysterious creature. The making of this book has been a 2-year quest of its own, from conception and research to writing, design, and finally the production of a hand-sewn letterpress and risograph printed book. Tales of Fort Denial draws inspiration from 13th century Grail Quest poems, Renaissance herbals, dreams, word hoards, early video game systems, and their manuals, synthesizing these into a long-form poem that in turn draws the reader deeper into its world. You are outside now. You begin to look around. It is dusk, and great trees rise before you. For you've come to walk the forest's edge. You've come to Fort Denial. I was holding a picture, wrapped in fluttering paper. It was an artifact. Perhaps it was generated. I didn't know, but I was holding a picture of a small spotted deer, printed on a piece of cornflower blue paper. The air was windy, and the thin wrappings blew away, leaving only the picture, and I saw there was something typed below it. I held the picture in my hand and mouthed the words, "Read the manual carefully." Atop a fairy rise, a cold stone mound where elves might reside, and with milk caps all around, on whose tops, alive, were spiders who merrily spun their twine. They were spinning little skulls. Oh, how I liked the skulls, how I did like their looks. Laughing, they seemed to agree. There was someone else there too, dodging me, sneaking through the trees, something that loomed high above. It was the marble figure, tiny and menacing, come to bellow threats at me. It said it wanted coins now, and wagged its finger pointedly. When it bared its teeth, I realized it was a grin. I have another joke for you, it said. Imagine a deer. Its head will be mounted, and its eyes will be painted red. This inspired laughter from the wretch. That is you. You are the error. And with this, it sauntered away. The cracking of walls and pinpricks in my skin were clues that I had arrived to a point inhospitable. The maniacal chittering of heels on hard stone indicated my course ahead. It took long years, but at last I had arrived to a place of access. And so I continued onward and round to higher landscapes, where none were welcome, and my clearest destination left unsaid. On that road, along a ridge of twisted ore, I observed between glowing red effigies, lifeless two-bit jousts that looped endlessly. Feathered wisps rose as they fought, and then settled, dry and dead, underfoot. Daylight resumed, but with a peculiar orange turbidity that made it feel dirty and swathed me in hazy light. Finding cauldrons for panning and dowsing rods aplenty, I added them to my pack. I continued confidently into the wilderness, only stopping to free myself from the modeling twine that had begun to collect on my limbs. But I saw no sign of anything more than trees and ruins, stumps and stones, repetitive in their irregularity. Nonetheless, I moved forward, deeper into the spinning forest landscape, and left no trace behind me as I went. Until I came to a chapel, bordered by split asphalt that twisted in all directions. Its walls were made of swirling agate, and its pews were made of bone. In this broken-down building were instruments of hunting, canes, oars, whistles, empty of wickedness, for now they were hung. There were low spreads of comfrey about, with an oddly human scent. I picked these to line my boots and build a fire for the night. With this, I would temper my twine. No souls lived in the chapel, but the aisles were littered with curling flesh. A floating eye, free of socket, hovered by the threshold, expectant and blinking, and just as quickly left. In this place, I found shelter and rested, and was startled when an inkling appeared, suddenly and in the northeast corner. They put a hand upon my shoulder and told me, "We have found another path." Please forgive my open book approach as this teller falls to bits. For at this point, a loop begins where volumes of wavy prose rise up to set and soften into arcs again, and in turn lay the foundations for my grand delusions ahead. Caught again. I am guzzling spy apple ale to allow my trembling grip to unfold from the cauldron I am holding. There is an old bandage of hareskin laid upon my head. I am in an overgrown ruin that is barrier rose filled, piled beneath furs and blankets, watching long drifting waves, and brown birds wheel above and under the growing storm clouds that mantle my cloister of stone. A thorn jester sits on the crumbling wall, throwing my necklace with biting fingers, bead by red bead, onto a fire built from blackened clay and twine. He is calming my fears with a voice that chimes, that whispers, "Sister of moonrays, stay." Now a white sheet lies atop a pedestal. I behold the manual, but am too weak to reach for it. The thorn jester decants more ale, and with grand gestures disgorges a morsel of spy apple to feed me too. Such abundant courtesies he dispenses from his whip, lavish gifts of teeth and bone, now that he has me alone. I must be careful. These words are risky. A twitch of the throat could betray my thoughts. The granaries loom overhead so high, encrusted in cobwebs, thin streams of golden. I am deep in the wood and cannot leave. I know not what to say. I hear the sounds of Fritton and the instruments of the hunting, and I remember the empty house I left. I remember the forest, the edge of the forest, and the catch of something around my neck. Thorn Jester is gone now, left me for dead. Scattered stumblings, molded by lonely roads, rifling through threads to knit a lace of cells, and pass them as words of no resonance, hard to explain, of no alarm, strange, but no weather change, no auspices today. A skeleton in his pole house, content yellow armor and bright starbane skull. The keeper of found wrappings, of feathers wrapped in mirror strings, of spider webs, of code words. I am suspicious of his artifacts left in loose piles, false beads, false heads, pastoral regressions. But there are hauntings again, even in this reality, this utterly sanitized, spare room of the mind in which I spend my days in turpitude. In wind, a pious hum, the shimmering outlines of the ivory horn sky. In words, a hoarse grief, the horn of this pen with which I write, learned clerk that I have become. In hunger, felt in broad blows, vicious requests, as if to swallow me whole. Yet still faint, they are ringing. The sad bells, oh, I hear them, all the bells, so sad. For the creature, oak-crowned, glides motionless in the sky. Thank you. You can find and purchase this project at my website now. Just came out, mariannedages.com, and I'm on Instagram as Halter Press. Thank you, Erin and AB, for organizing this. Thank you to all the other readers, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Marianne. So our next readers will be Keri, Miki-Lani, Schroeder, and Chris Fritton. Keri Miki-Lani Schroeder is an artist and writer based in San Antonio, Texas. She holds an MFA in book art and creative writing from Mills College and has worked at Flying Fish Press and Book Lab 2 as an edition bookbinder. Schroeder creates limited edition artist books under the imprint Coyote Bones Press and teaches book art workshops at various institutions nationwide. Chris Fritton is a poet, printer, and artist based in Buffalo, New York. He's the former studio director of the Western New York Book Art Center, and he's best known for his decade-long traveling project and subsequent book, The Itinerant Printer. He's been a visiting artist and instructor at hundreds of institutions, including RISD, MICA, VCU, and the Center for Book Arts. Chris Fritton and Keri will read from Please Stay Until Doomsday, an artist's book comprising multiple devices that create an almost infinitely variable poem. Their collaborative project houses a set of vowels that revolve around themes of isolation, connection, and the inevitable phases of a relationship. Throughout history, we have looked to the skies for guidance and perspective. This book is a map of the sky as well as a map of ourselves. It represents our internal cosmos, the dynamic reality of love and loss, the effect of proximity and gravity, the danger and delight of longing, the loneliness we feel even in the midst of people, each of us a body unto ourselves, in conversation with, adjacent to, but never really connected to others.
I am living just beyond the apogee. You are more air than dust. We are failing orbit.
It takes more energy to stay together than come apart.
I have been waiting most of ever. You
have always been.
We pass through harmony.
There is no other loss than the loss of heat. Heat is a measure of aliveness.
I am longing to become an ellipse. You are innumerable angles.
We made shapes in
alignment.
alignment.
It's the coming apart that makes you cold. Distance is a measure of temperature.
I can be
an
an apostle of asymmetry. You can only be balanced. We are inescapable entropy.
Every single thing in the universe is running away from everything else.
I was afraid
of
critical crossing. You receded into oblivion.
We must abandon
And
autonomy.
You ran farther, faster, till you could no longer hear me call your name.
I am longing to become an ellipse.
You
are innumerable angles.
We
We
must
must
abandon
abandon
harmony.
harmony.
You were a valance adorning the light of your own expiration.
I have been waiting most
Most
of ever.
You
You can
only
only
be
be
balanced.
balanced.
We are
Are
inescapable
inescapable
entropy.
entropy.
There will be
There will be
a
a single
moment
moment when you will say my name for the very last time.
I am longing to become their lips. You can only be balanced. You made shapes in orbit.
There will be a single moment when I will say your name for the very last time.
I was afraid of critical velocity. You receded into oblivion.
We are failing
Failing
harmony.
harmony.
You have no
You
choice.
have no choice.
We will grow into
We
a
will grow
space
into a space
beyond the dominion
beyond
of laws.
the dominion of laws.
Thanks, AB. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris and Keri. Our next reader is María Carolina Ceballos. María is a Carolina is a Colombian book artist with an interdisciplinary focus. She has exhibited her work in various cities in Colombia, the United States, and Japan. She holds a BFA in visual arts from the Universidad de Bogotá Jorge Tadeo Lozana and a minor in photography from the same university. She recently graduated from the MFA in book arts at the University of Iowa, where she also worked as a book conservation technician and digital book design instructor. In her recent artistic practice, she has been exploring traditional book-related crafts and applying them to a body of work with visual arts disciplines, creative writing, and music notation and performance. She will be reading from her book Un Libro, which explores the concept of the body of a bookbinder in relation to the book and the relationship between a creator and their creation. The book is completed when read out loud and performed with body and voice.
Un libro. A quienes se mueven con los libros, en la imaginación, en los talleres y en los lenguajes. A quienes viven dando vida, mis padres. I make books, I bind them. My craft is a misunderstood one. My body is too. I started making books when I recognized my body and accepted it. The books and I were beautiful. Now, here, only books, every day, for, because of, and thanks to books. My body changes at the same time as my books. I repair them. Paper, thread, time, even my own body I think of as a tool to make books. Creation. I fold the paper with my fingers. Doblar, aplanar, doblar, aplanar. It doesn't break, but my fingers do. Pican, duelen. Sobre ellos soplo aire frío. My hands, dry from overwashing, start cracking like libros viejos. Papel quebradizo, brittle paper, papel viejo. Mis manos son pasajeras. La piel cambia and I forget the pain. Los libros no. Mis libros serán eternos, o al menos más que yo. Brittle hands, quebradizas. I punch holes in the paper gently, como cuando de niña they pierced my ears 2 veces. Y así the paper and I are in a cradle at the moment our skin gets pierced or punched for the first time. Then the thread, wax and smooth. El hilo conductor, linking layers, tejidos, la costura del lomo, the itching, the spine, the back of an animal. Entonces se dividen las lenguas y la spine, la columna vertebral, es el mismo lomo. Es mi libro un cuerpo, mi hijo, mi mascota, la cabeza, la cola, head and tail, cabeza y pies, head and feet. Anyways, los pies o la cola soportan el peso de mi libro. Its backbone hurt, not like mine. Mi espalda nos soporta a ambos. The book becomes a building block, un ladrillo full of lenguaje, llenito. Las librerías, libraries, murales, las historias, el text block, el cuerpo del libro. Tu esqueleto es fuerte. Your spine and the vertebra that were sewn and intertwined, and the nervures that I circled with the thread hold you. Sewing supports. Nervios. Nervios perfectos without swelling ni dolores. Your lomo is stronger than my spine. El libro está en los huesos. Naked. Del mismo blanco crema de mis huesos. White. Sin vestiduras ni guardas, sin vigilancia ni protección, unprotected. La tripa vacía, waiting to be covered. Waiting. Mi cuerpo con el dolor de espalda, unbearable backache. Las vértebras desencajadas, out of place. Mis pies torcidos, mi cabeza lejana, pero él está bien. Mi libro. Palabras, time, amor, pasión, cariño, miradas, everything para mi libro. I know someone in el futuro will have to clean your wounds, will carve your paper, your layers, like I do now with other books. Like archaeologists, we conservators look for history, una historia con heridas. Enderezo mi libro por la spine y como un quiropracto I apply a thin layer of engrudo, paste on the spine. Lo dejo estar cold to the touch. My fingerprints, dry, secas, apenas sienten. But I try and feel it there, ahí, like the nose of a cat. Tomo el libro entre mis manos en massage delicadamente the spine. Luego la golpeo suavemente from the center out y los cuadernillos comienzan a desencajarse, reorganizing, como mis vértebras. El lomo is rounded. Los cantos, edges lo muestran when their ends adquieren curvas cóncavas y convexas. Pongo mi libro en la prensa para cajos y firmly I keep hammering until my libro has cajos, bisagras, hinges, shoulders, hombros. What was a columna vertebral of a limbless being is now el perfil de un lomo curvo con 45 degrees shoulders. Perfectos. Los míos, por el contrario, uno más arriba que el otro, tilted with pain in my músculo, my nervios that grow with the años, pero al fin el perfil de mi libro es perfecto. Time will change you. Like en los talleres de restauración, tú, mi libro, will turn old. You will keep aging y frecuentarás más estos lugares. Ganarás más marcas y prótesis. Y como curitas sobre la piel rota, small pieces of Japanese paper will tenderly cover your scars. I plow you, el arado, el ingenio del que ara, el ingenio del que cuida, poda, sands, el arado, la cosecha de tus bordes rasgados. Tus cantos, bordes, edges, smooth, mientras my hands, mi canto, my body, my voice, rough and brittle. Mis manos resecas se posan sobre tus cantos, like dust during the hundreds of years of my book. Mis cantos son como los de las madres, crackled entre my melodies and my body. Te han recibido como un hijo. Yo los esculpo y pinto. Your beautiful cantos han dejado los míos entre el polvo y el desgaste. La vejez, prólogo de la muerte. Now I braid over the alma de la cabezada, the core, el corazón, para guardar el polvo, guardapolvos, vigilar, keep the dust away. The book has an alma escondida. Sometimes it behaves like an nervio. The silk thread is not like the one of the lomo. So smooth it slides between my fingers, tan ligero que mi tacto, desgastado, dry and craquelado, can't feel. My eyes witness its movimiento. Tiendan, protege, contornea, perfecciona la curva. Its action acaricia and shoulders el alma del libro. Sometimes my mind does too. Estado meditativo. Gracias, libro. Me hundo en un trance y mis ojos wake me up gritando que han perdido temporarily la visión periférica. I look at the window y el foco se ha ido. The river está borroso, pero su aire es aún bello. Mi libro is now like a niña, smiling and with bellos tocados en el cabello. Comienzo a forrar, revestir, cover the spine. My spine se queja punzante porque duele, but the spine of my book is strong. Papel japonés, cloth and paste, músculo, dermis y epidermis que cubren los nervios, primeras capas de ropaje. I build your hollow, como una cueva que protege esculturas ancestrales. Tu cuerpo smells now like fresh paste and papel recién sacado del estante. The books of the hospital smell first like old books. Nice smell. Then aceite de construyo para reconstruirte. The smell of adhesivo en descomposición is strong. You're already a decaying body. El alma, el aroma del tiempo. Debo perforar una vez más, one last time, el esqueleto de mi libro. Las tapas, los planos de boards, a veces tapas que cubren and hide, a veces boards que construyen. I punch them to connect them to the spine, un esqueleto completo, con shoulders que reciben and feet perfectos con las tapas. Los nervios entran delicadamente por los orificios y desaparecen en una acción que hammers de nuevo, como en una construcción. Mi libro starts looking like a casa u objeto y el cansancio de mi cuerpo is similar to the one of an albañil. My body is of an artesano, manos y huesos desgastados, worn out. He decidido cómo cubro a mis pacientes, he decidido dejar la negligencia y quiero que si vives, vivas bien. I make paper and I make it for you. Dermis, epidermis. Leather and handmade paper, flax and cotton harvested the same way I harvested your canthus. Cubro un poco tus cabezadas and start molding your ears. So you can hear me reading you. So you can hear me breathe. And cantar sobre tus cantos. I make some paste paper lleno de engrudo colorido. I play with it like a child. At the end, it looks like tatuajes, so absorbed by the papel, inside the layers and layers of fibra. I place it como un espejo de agua de todos los colores que tu contenido representa. I'm so proud of you, finished on your guardas, framed by your cejas, like my eyes and the one of everyone in this room. I put retazos over your paper like the old houses with mosaicos falsos over your skin, like the scarf around my neck, onlays laying on your piel. They become your personalidad, like tattoos or clothes, ornamentos, como joyas pequeñitas, como the ones that mi madre me ponía as a child. Simple dots like rain, como el rocío que brilla selectivo en la madrugada.
Our next reader is Sarah Hulsey. Sarah is a visual artist whose work explores the unconscious system of rules and parameters that governs our knowledge of language. She studied with Noam Chomsky at MIT, where she received her PhD in linguistics in 2008. Hulsey teaches at the Rhode Island School of Design and is represented by Bromfield Gallery in Boston. She will be reading from her recent artist book, Allochronologies, which explores narratives in which time operates in unfamiliar ways. One of these works is the story 2nd of June 1905 from Einstein's Dreams by Alan Lightman, which is the starting point for the text Sarah will read today.
Rawakab, Zwolf, Might, Dolorowa, Sith, Ne. Backward flows time, world this in. In this world, time flows backward. Drawakab, Zwolf, Might, Dolorowa, Sith, Ne. Zmelsaub, Kingip, Thue, Irt, Uth, Ut, Dunratir, Dutjerk, Dana, Devumir, Flesh, A, Na, Tup, Zerschworg, Uth, Ut, Kas, Ingepash, Ne, Dirjek, Z, T, Dra, Znert, It, Znekingip, It, Nuckingip, Ut, Lubjate, Uth, Na, Selp, Dna, Judebrag, Uth, Murph, Dutville, Z, Stiep, Nuerb, Isham, Ye. Backward flows time, world this in. Blossoms pink with tree the two returned, crated and removed, shelf A on put. Grocers thee to sack, shopping A in, carried is it. Hard turns it, pinkens it. Pinken to table the on placed, and garbage the from lifted is, peach brown, mushy A. A mushy brown peach is lifted from the garbage and placed on the table to pinken. It pinkens, it turns hard, it is carried in a shopping sack to the grocer's, put on a shelf, removed and crated, returned to the tree with pink blossoms. In this world, time flows backward. Droa cab, zwolf, might, doloroa, siv, ne. Backward flows time, world this in. In this world, time flows backward. Nurses she, crawls she, smaller grows, bed before night at to red is, sister younger her to stories tells she, dishes thee with helps, house there by woods the through walking, mother her with hours spends. Parents her with home at lives she. Happiness of tears crying, sister and parents her with. Gymnasium thee from graduates she. Classes attends she. Glances his returns. University thee of library thee in. Time first the for husband her sees she. Firm breasts her, brown and long hair her, soft becomes skin her. Him to love makes, mountains thee of foot thee at him with walks. Store chemists his at accounts thee with husband her helps she. Events current and history discusses, and friends meets she. Night at and hour lunch her during reads she. Class after them with argues, students her loves she. History teaching begins. Gymnasium thee at party retirement a to goes she. Tones new with resonates voice her. Streaks brown with darkens hair white her. Friends visit. Country thee through travel they. Laugh, jokes tell. Together meals eat they. House there becomes house her. Her to speaks, out straightens, over stoops stands he. Pink become cheeks his, hours in. House her into carried is, face whitened with, husband her day one. Work her like she when smiles she, crochets and dresser her of drawer bottom the from yarn and needles take she. Weather good in cafes at tea drinks. Friend a visits occasionally, market thee to goes. House small her from excursions makes woman the. Faces peoples, chairs, tables of images and lines and light into themselves gather shadows vague. Music, voices hears she. Face her in lines heavy thee loses, more eats, strength gains woman the gradually. Visitors few are there. Pass years, stones on leaves dead of rustle the like, scratchy breathing her, gone hearing her, gone almost eyesight her, swollen and red face her, moving hardly, chair a in sits, woman withered a. Droa cab, zwolf, miat, doloroa sith ne. Backward flows time, world this in. In this world, time flows backward. The anticipation of that rush of the blood, that time when he will be young and unknown and unafraid of mistakes, overpowers him now as he sits in his chair in the auditorium in Stockholm, at great distance from the tiny voice of the president announcing his name. On those evenings, his heart will pound as if he were in love. But some evenings, he will return to his desk, knowing he has learned things about nature that no one has ever known, ventured into the forest and found light, gotten hold of precious secrets. Day and night he will work, making many false starts, filling the trash basket with unsuccessful chains of equations and logical sequences. His thoughts quickly shift 20 years to the future, when he will work alone in a small room with only pencil and paper. The man thinks briefly about the award he is to receive. He shakes hands with the president of the Swedish Academy of Sciences, receives the Nobel Prize for Physics, listens to the glorious citation. A middle-aged man walks from the stage of an auditorium in Stockholm, holding a medal. Droa cab zwolf mait doloroa sydd ne. Backward flows time, world this in. In this world, time flows backward. Face his on rain April cold the fields, coffin the on dirt of handful a throws, friend his of graveside at stands man but he does not weep. Talk, sailing go, together ale drink will them of two the wen, laughing and bed his out be friend will his when, strong be will lungs, friends his when, day thee to a head looks he. He does not weep. Window thee of glass down slide will rain the wen, gently nod will friend his, and unloved and old growing of fear his describe will he when. Table flat, low, a on sandwiches have will friend his and he when. Future thee in remembers he day, particular a for longingly waits he. Droa cab, zwolf, might, doloroa sydd ne. Backward flows time, world this in. In this world, time flows backward.